Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Dual Hearts. On the last episode we completed our whirlwind tour of all the levels we had yet to complete. Now we're back in Sano Town to see if we can advance the story any with our new Mystic Essamon hammer. First thing to do is talk to McTuve. It's been a while since we actually spoke to this guy. It is an awfully suspicious conversation, but for some reason this weird stompy out, but not the fact that when we first talked to the guy, he knew that we had the orbs, so I guess we just forgot. Anyway, he wants us to return at nightfall because he has a message for us. It's apparently private. And yes, he can see Bumble even though he's off screen, even we can't see him. He's not there. Oh wait, there he is. Alright, well we can solve that. We've got our Mystic Hourglass. Let's head on over to nighttime. Let's hang out. There we go. Of course, since McTuve is a jerk, he doesn't actually stay and wait for us. He's not sitting on the ledge anymore, he's moved. He's one of the only characters who never leaves the little town square the entire time. He just changes his position from morning to night. We have to go track him down on our own. Uh-oh. Please explain. Another one of those but thou must questions. You can ask him to explain, but it doesn't matter. We still have to go inside. We're kind of used to entering people's dreams, you know, involuntarily. It's a little weird when someone actually invites us in, but I guess it's just McTuve and the sheep who does it, at least thus far. No collectible completion list, so you know something crazy is about to go down, although you can certainly see a gold Essamon, Dream Energy, a bunch of other junk lying around, so you know we're going to have to get there to that particular objective eventually. Just not this time. First, a boss fight. Possibly my least favorite boss fight in the entire game. Not necessarily because it's difficult, but because the mechanics are a little obnoxious. We are going to fight the Dream copy. It's basically us, except between his sort of weird texture and the pattern of the area itself, he's almost impossible to see. It's supposed to be a copy of Stompy. Realistically, he behaves more like the Night Stalkers, in that basically he's just going to attack you with his sword. You defend, he's briefly stunned, then you attack him. He's got a few wacky attacks. He doesn't really have very many of our holy instruments. He has, there we go, he has this little, he has basically a variant of our jump attack, and he can do a charge attack with the sword, but it doesn't look anything like our charge attack. It's really more of a dash attack. There's also a shadow Bumble that you can't really see that he'll call every once in a while to dash into us. Doesn't really matter very much. He does a lot of damage too, 2 or 3 jewels per attack, so there is some danger here, but regardless, he goes down pretty quickly. I think that was about 5 combos with the spear, which is not our strongest weapon. That's good enough. So, exposition time. This is actually the cutscene that plays in the beginning of the game that I skipped through when entering the title screen. We're gonna get to see it.
Long ago,
yep, this is the only voice acting in the entire game.
There was a time when dreams became reality, and new dreams were born. It was a golden age for mankind, a paradise on Earth.
It's a very fitting voice for McTuve, I have to say.
However, dark desires also manifested themselves.
It's a nice preview shot of one of the bosses.
The nightmare, born from the evil within people's minds, shook heaven and earth. Those who opposed it were turned to ashes. The world was on the brink of destruction. At this rate, the world will surely come to an end. There is only one way. Determined to save humanity from evil, a sage stepped forth. With his brave companion alongside him.
Sounds awfully familiar.
By separating the tainted dream from the real world,
check it out, it's the holy instruments.
Sage weakened the nightmares.
Part of the reason why I didn't show this scene
power.
earlier, because it sort of spoils the instruments themselves as opposed to us finding them as the story goes on.
A fierce battle ensued, lasting 7 nights and 7 days.
There they are again.
And finally, by the power of the holy instruments and the dream stone, the nightmare was sealed in the Holy Land. The darkness which engulfed the world lifted, and peace was restored. But the world was now divided in two, dream and reality. The sage realized, however, that as long as mankind continued to exist, so would dark desires. And when evil once again rooted itself in people's minds, the seal would be broken, and the nightmare would return.
Seems to be the case so far, although nobody we've met so far seems all that evil. Pretty typical RPG story. Wasn't really worth showing at the start, but now that we're actually seeing it in the course of the main story, I guess it's fitting that we see it now. Sort of puts the quest for the Dreamstone in context if it is in fact the final key holding the nightmare in place. Anyway, we're back. This is the Ancient Cavern. We were here once already to pick up the Bakuna Blade. McTuve was nice enough to bring us here in his head. Lumble seems happy. That's not true. You totally care about, I don't know. So he does only seem to care about treasure. Yep, typical predestination. Typical, I should say, stubborn, unwilling protagonist. Anyway, like I said, there's collectibles in McTuve's brain, so considering all we care about is treasure, it's time to go back in there and pick it up. Also have a chance to show off the Essamon hammer for the first time. I had it equipped during the Shadow Copy fight, in case you noticed, in my left hand, but it wasn't of particular use compared to the spear, or basically any other weapon. Now, the shtick with McTube's dream is that it acts as a nexus for all other dreams. I'll point this out while I show off the Mystic Hammer. As it turns out, you get an Essamon every time you use it, thus the name Essamon Hammer. The hammer itself, as I said previously, is the only weapon whose melee attack, other than the arbalest, can hit aerial enemies, or I should say it's the only one where the melee attack can hit enemies from the ground, which is pretty neat. But the actual hitbox is extremely awkward. It has the same vague problem as the Longinus, which you may recall from my initial fights in Val's Dream, that the hitbox is very difficult to sort of puzzle out, and the range is very strange. This one's even worse because the combo attack, once I finally unlock it, is practically useless. I tried it out a lot during the next level, but I don't believe I've ever actually hit an enemy twice with it. It's just that weird. Keep collecting these rings. All 100 rings in this area are scattered around in these boxes, 20 of them. And so I'll use this hammer to replenish Bumble's tummy. Very short on Essamons because I use a lot of them trying to use the hammer to combat the Shadow Copy, and it's taking a lot of damage. Pick this up. Again, we're passing by these little jewels that represent other people's dreams. This is the easiest way to get into dreams because you don't have to worry about whether or not it's day or night. This basically serves as a warp zone. We will be taking advantage of this many, many times with the remainder of the game. Not that there's that much left. This is the 10th of 15 levels. Let's jump up here. Again, it's a copy of the Dream Temple, which kind of signals something really interesting is going on here, that this guy's important to the main storyline. Most of the collectibles, other than the rings, are scattered around the battlements of the tower itself. There's the Gold Essamon, the only one. We have the Dream Energy, only Dream Energy. We got the only HP up fragment, and there are a few tummy ups scattered around. Stupid sliding animation. Jump down here. Turns out Yuri's not down here. Hang on. I will jump down there eventually, I promise. There we go. There's a tummy up piece on top of this little flight pad, another one right above it. Get that. We have 90 rings, I believe, for the area. There are 2 boxes on top of the little Stonehenge thing on top of the Dream Temple. Picked up more tummy up fragments. The hitbox, or the collision area for the top of this little Stonehenge thing, is pretty weird. You'll notice as I'm walking around. Let's pick up this tummy up. Yep, you can sort of walk slanted like a lot of the objects in Florence's dream. It's some bizarre friction. See? You can be standing right on something and sometimes the hammer doesn't work. This is also why I hate when they put boxes on top of things, because although I picked up 4 rings when it broke, the 5th one fell off the side, and now I have to go all the way back into the bottom and find it. So, let's go do that, I guess. It's around here somewhere. There it is. Makes this level take a lot longer than it has to. But I did kind of want to show that one, because it is ring number 900. Our next unlockable is at 1,000, so we're just about there. Hopefully the next stream will have 100 rings for us to collect, more or less. Again, we should have 910, assuming we pick up all 100 from this stream. I actually missed a box in the lower floor, and I'm going to go back and pick it up off-screen. That is the last tummy up, and we're still stuck on the side of the Stonehenge, which is kind of funny. That animation from when he jumps up... Sorry, apparently the breath does not break the boxes. Let's do it with a hammer. Apparently the animation from Stompy standing up to show the full tummy up fragment causes some unusual sort of physics and standing effects. We also saw that in Tomo's dream, where he stands up in the middle of mid-air while he's flying on Bumble. That's all we can do here for now, other than that one box I'm gonna get later, so let's get out of here. And we'll return to Sano Island. There's a couple of things I forgot to show off that we can see now. We've talked to Phoebe already, I believe, before we talked to McTuve, but there's a couple of other things. First, there's this small cutscene. I'm not really sure what this means. Only one bridge that connects to the mainland. I think there was a clue that we were supposed to get that I got out of order, because McTuve's dream is actually supposed to be done next, but you can do it now, after the level I'm doing in the next video. We talked to Meg for the first time. This is a bit of foreshadowing for the next scenario. She makes picture books for children. Hannah was talking about this when we ran into the forest. No big deal. There's also this house, which apparently I never went into. Florence is over there, still painting. We don't care about her because we have 100% in her dream, so we'll never be back. She is useless to us. There is a blacksmith's house here. This house never becomes relevant the entire game. There's 3 people here who have no interesting dialogue and no names. They're just blacksmiths. My personal guess is that in the original version of the game, you were supposed to use those Sano stones that you picked up to forge your weapons, but they sort of abandoned this plan at the last second in favor of experience and turning in the Sano stones for dessert, or I should say that might have been the backup plan, or whatever they did to make up for the fact that they had already coded in Sano stones showing up all over the place anyway. So where we need to be is the Cliffside Road. This is where the ancient cavern lets out to the other side of the island. We were here very briefly in the water when I first explored the cavern. Now we can actually climb up this little path to the main bridge, and we meet Chiffon. Unlike most characters in this game who spontaneously become emo when it's time for us to enter their dream, she's basically been emo the entire time. There's Abel again. We briefly heard that name when we tried to get into her dream and were foiled by Val. Yeah, you go wander off. We know where you sleep. We'll find you later. You care, it's treasure. Probably. Well, it's a necklace. A locket, rather. I think it's supposed to be open. It doesn't really look like it. Oh god, it's where she keeps her morphine, apparently. Or something. Or LSD, I don't know. The guy who wrote the guide that I'm using to guide me through this game, made a reference to this guy being a Fei Fong Long from Xenogears on a hamburger diet, which I think is pretty appropriate, all things considered. So I will use that joke and give credit where it's due. This apparently is Abel. And we've got our next objective. Probably has nothing to do with the main objective of the game, but, you know, this never stopped us before. Again, this is part of Stompy's continued character development, sort of. Granted, he's still a jerk. I don't really know why Bumble's questioning him here. He was more than willing to pick up the necklace when it laid on the ground to bring it back to her, but now all of a sudden he thinks it's weird that Stompy wants to help out. Maybe he's just a little beleaguered by our constant change of mind. It doesn't matter, it's not going to stop him from dancing. Whatever. Back to the island, or I should say back to the town. I think this is the point, considering that Chiffon is our next target, that she stays asleep basically indefinitely, so there's no real rush to get back during the morning or the night. It's a little creepy as usual, just like with Yuri, where he just goes to sleep forever when his glasses break. With Chiffon, it's a little bit more immediate, as we'll see as soon as I get back inside the inn. In we go. Huh. Good. Val, as usual, is significantly more responsible in her fake job as the inn caretaker than she is in her real job as a treasure hunter. I like the view, the little rose window for the inn. Yep, Chiffon actually has a legitimate medical emergency, so to speak. Oh, you know, let's try. Nope, she'll just say that every time. So let's get out. We'll have to find a trigger event to get Val to leave, and as it turns out the trigger event is just walking out of the room the first time. We'll have to wait. No, we won't. We won't have to wait at all. Because, as we've said many, many times, Val doesn't actually work here, and she's not all that good at her job. Back to work indeed. Who owns this inn, anyway? Anyway, yep, that's our cue. We didn't have to wait for the next video or anything. In we go. Been building up to this for like 20 videos. Alright, so let's go inside Chiffon's dream. And that will be our next level. We've covered up 50 minutes, so I will see you in Chiffon's dream in the next episode of Let's Play Dual Hearts. See you then.